Hey, my name is Steven de Wever. Welcome to this third Show Me Do on the Perl programming language. In the previous part, I talked about scalar variables and how you can assign values to them and how you can print these values to the console. In this part, I will talk about arithmetic operations in Perl, like addition and subtraction. And I will also talk about the conditional statements, if and else. And when talking about if, I will also talk about the evaluation of Boolean expressions in Perl. So I start Perl in interactive mode and I say $A equals 7 and $B equals 3. Now I can use the different arithmetic operations like addition. So I print the result of $A plus $B. Next, $A minus $B. $A times $B and $A divided by $B, and then two more special operators. First one is A to the power. That's two asterisks without space in between them of B. And A modulo B. So I press Ctrl D. Oops. Okay, so I typed an error in the last line. I will do that again. So A equals 7, B equals 3, and print A modulo B. That's better. So the addition results in 7 plus 3 is 10. 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 times 3 is 21. And 7 divided by 3 is this result. 7 to the power of 3 is 343. And then finally 7 modulo 3, that's 1, so 1 is the rest of dividing 7 by 3. Okay, next we'll talk about conditional statements in Perl. So I'm again going to create A and B. If A is more than B, print A is more than B. Press Ctrl G. And Perl will evaluate this Boolean expression because we're using the if statement. So if this Boolean expression evaluates to true, this code block will be evaluated. So 7a is more than 3, so this Boolean expression evaluates to true. I can also do some action when the Boolean expression evaluates to false. If B, is more than A, so this will result in false. Anyway, if it's true, I'm going to print B is more than A. And I close the bracket. Else, so if the Boolean expression evaluates to false, I'm going to print B is not more than A, and closing the brackets. I press Ctrl D. As you can see, this block didn't get executed, but this did, because this Boolean expression evaluates to false. 3 bigger or more than 7 is false, so the execution will jump to this block, which will get executed. There is an alternative to if. Actually, it's the inverse. I can execute statements when a Boolean expression evaluates to false, and I use the unless statement for that. Unless B is more than A. Oops. Of course, I need to create A and B first. So unless B is more than A, print B is not more than A, and closing the brackets and pressing Ctrl D. So as you see, this block gets executed only when this Boolean expression evaluates to false. And I can also use an else in combination with unless. So A is 7, B equals 3, unless A is more than B. So if A more than B is false, print A is not more than B, else print A is more than B. So I press Ctrl D, and as you see, because this Boolean expression evaluates to true, A 7 more than B 3 is true, so this will not get executed, but this will. Now, one final alternative notation that I want to show in Perl for if and unless. You can type print A is more than B. Oops. If A is more than B. print b is not more than a if unless b is more than a. So I press Ctrl D, and if this Boolean expression evaluates to true, because we're using if, this statement will get executed. If this Boolean expression evaluates to false, because we're using unless, this statement will be executed. This notation is influenced by the designer of Perl, which is Larry Wall, and one of the concepts in his design is that in Perl the most significant part of a statement should always come first. In this case, the print statement comes first, and the condition for executing the statement comes second, and the same here. So this is an alternative notation that you may encounter in other people's Perl scripts, and you of course can use them yourself. So in this part I showed you how to write calculations in Perl, and I also talked about the conditional statements if, else, and unless, else, and writing your conditional statement behind or after a statement that has to be executed. In the next part I will talk about lists and hash maps in Perl and what you can do with those. In the meanwhile, I advise you to try out what you've seen so far in Perl yourself, and if you have any questions, remarks, or you want me to cover something in this series on the Perl programming language, something specific you would like to learn more about, please leave a comment on the Show Me Do website. Until next time.